Hello and welcome to the Runners World podcast with me, Rick Pearson.
And me, Ben Hobson. And today we are joined by Susie Chan.
Hey, hello. How you doing, guys?
Good. Great to have you on. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Nice to see you both. It's been a while. I was trying to remember.
I think it's been a good, maybe pre-pandemic, the last time you were on.
I tell you, it was pre-100 miler for you, Rick, because that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. Well, I did get through it, but yeah, I was very grateful for your advice because I was, I think, rightly extremely worried before running 100 miles.
It was quite fun.
I just really enjoyed watching it just unfold. It was just really fun.
No, but you know, in that way, when you know somebody's strong enough and fit enough and well enough to do it, and they're nervous, and you're like, you're going to be fine.
Well, one of the funny things, because I remember you wrote a piece for the magazine on the hallucinations you can have when running that kind of distance.
Oh my goodness.
So I was thinking around sort of 70 mile mark, I was like, when are these ghouls coming? When am I going to see like a skull or something?
Yeah. But you didn't have any.
I actually had none, but you've had a few, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Do you know what? I think it's when you haven't fueled properly.
Okay.
I think when you've sort of, over-egged the pudding somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have. I think my most memorable one was in a 100 miler. And I saw quite a lot of picnic tables with glasses of red wine on them.
And they weren't there?
No, they weren't there. No, disappointingly.
That's a good one, though.
You just hallucinate what you really want, don't you? That's just what you tap into. Your brain goes, what do I need right now?
But it's peculiar because you know it's not there. But it's literally as plain as day in front of you.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Of course, some of them, though, are like quite macabre. You start seeing like skulls and stuff in the water and all that kind of stuff. Quite trippy.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is more reason for me not to do it. Yeah, it's good. How are you, Susie?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, yeah, feeling good.
We've got a lot to catch up on.
I know.
Mainly, I think we should talk about this, is Peloton.
Oh, yes.
Because now...
I know.
You're instructing the masses.
I can't believe this. It's happening to me. Sometimes I go through moments where I'm like, this is exactly what I've been running for, these moments, to be able to do this. I love running. I love sharing the joy of running. And then there are other times I'm like, are you sure? Me? Are you sure? So it's, and those times are getting less and less, mercifully. But yeah, it's been an absolute joy. It really is a joy. And I think one of probably the biggest takeaways and lessons for me that I have circled back around to in my running life is I started running quite a long way, and then you sort of surround yourself with people that sort of normalise running a very long way. It's all perfectly normal to go out on a Saturday and run 20 miles. That's the sort of circles which I hung around in. And then I came back to Peloton, started the job, and I'm just getting messages and people get in touch from all over the place. And they've run their first mile, they've run their first 5K. I'm 70 years old and I've run for 20 minutes for the first time in my life. And it's really humbling and lovely to sort of hear people just starting their running journeys. So it's just been great. It's been great. Yeah.
Have you had first hallucination on there?
No, mercifully none. No. But there's a lot of bright lights in that studio, so
it could happen. How did it come about? Did Peloton, they were aware of you and your running?
I think so. I think they had like a long list of people they're watching. They've been very well established in America for a very long time. And then they were launching the treadmill over here, and they just had their eye on some people. And they just got in touch. But it wasn't sort of from the Peloton account. It was just from somebody from their own personal Instagram account. And I just got this message saying, I work for Peloton. And genuinely, because, I've done the sort of work I did before in between the museums and doing this job now. I was working with different brands and things, trainer launches, and I genuinely thought they just wanted me to go and test out a treadmill and maybe do a couple of Instagram stories. Right. So I was like, sure. No problem. No.
We want you to do all of it.
Well, it was just like, do you want to kind of have a phone call? And then it turned into a brief, which then turned into an audition, which then turned into a few more auditions and some more meetings.
Oh, the audition sounds good.
Yeah.
So it's not, obviously you're a good runner. That bit would have been good.
But it was in pandemic times.
Okay.
So I think I don't know what it would be had it not been pandemic times. But I had to send in a self-tape. Which was low-key a bit excruciating because I'm a bit self-conscious. I know. And you look at me on Instagram and think, but it was I was a little bit sort of like, oh no, this is a bit odd. So I just did a 20-minute run on the treadmill in my garage. I think the sound quality was exceptionally poor because I recorded the whole thing on like a GoPro in the corner of the room and I was sort of yelling over the sound of the treadmill. But then that was it.
Is this tape available?
I hope they burned those tapes, please.
Amazing.
Cut to footage. No. But the thing, when sort of everyone probably saw and knew you as very much like Susie, ultra runner, outside is everything, this is all that you do. But did you have any sort of sense of intrepidation or like concerns about treadmill, like just being like the next stage of the journey?
No, I didn't. I am reasonably familiar with the treadmill, having run on one for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think it was 2016, maybe 2017. I should know that date off by heart, shouldn't I? But no, I used them off and on through my training.
Yeah.
I'm very fair weather, so it's not something which I didn't do. But just purely because I didn't own one, I didn't get on one. And then what happened was, obviously, the pandemic, and I panic bought a treadmill because there was lots of rumours flying around. We wouldn't be allowed out, and I was like, I'd absolutely forget it. I'm going to go bananas. So I bought a treadmill, and that's been it. I absolutely love. I genuinely, I mean, I know you think I'm going to be saying this, but I genuinely love it as a core part of my training.
Yeah. It's funny because I think it still suffers probably in some quarters of running as, the treadmill, that's not what real runners do, or the treadmill, that's kind of...
The Treadmill.
Isn't that dull or whatever?
No.
I think there are those sort of maybe misconceptions about treadmill running.
I think so, and I think people go to running for lots of different reasons, and some of those reasons maybe that you like just being outside, I'm going to say, have you been outside recently? Because it's very wet. It's very cold.
I cycled in today. I was like,
horrendous business.
It's so cold.
Yeah, I think it definitely has a space, and I think what Peloton do extremely well, and what makes it joyful is, I think people worry about getting bored on the treadmill. I think what they were saying, I'm going to get bored, and we fill that gap beautifully. We really do. And
it's not dull.
It absolutely is not. And anybody that's got on the famous bike, your half hour just flies by. So I think it really serves that well as doing good workout. But I personally love getting on a treadmill because there's a sort of I can just get my run done. I can just get on, get my run done, not have to worry about route, traffic, the dreaded weather, and just get some solid training in.
Agreed. I have a treadmill. It's not connected to anything.
What treadmill have you got? Let's upgrade that situation.
talk to your people. But what I do love about it is how meticulous you can be.
Yes.
So especially like if you're doing intervals or something like that, you can, you calibrate. If you have a race target and a time for that race, and you can equate that to a speed, and you set the treadmill at certain speeds, and away you go. And it's very functional when it comes to that sort of like hitting threshold or a pace for X number of minutes, or that's what's so good about it.
I absolutely love it for that, and the Peloton tread in particular has like 5k, 10k, so you can just lock in and go sort of routes. But it serves that whole other side. There's walking is massively popular, hugely popular in it. Hiking hugely popular, and they have like boot camps and things. And I'd say more than 50% of the stuff I do is like it's a lot of music. So it'll be like a 90s run, 80s music run. So you can kind of, it doesn't have to be that locked in hard session. It can be like just get moving and enjoy 30 minutes of your day. Or...
Do you do hill stuff on there as well? Because it feels like that would be obviously a good way of using the treadmill.
I do. And we do hill classes, that sort of thing. Hitting hills is one of our classes we do.
Hitting hills.
Oh, that's a bit of you.
It could be actually. It could be.
Well, you should both come along to the studio. It's just around the corner.
It's around the corner, isn't it?
I can't promise you hitting hills, but I can promise you some decent music.
How do you manage then? Because you're now teaching, and you obviously have to be fit for that, and you also want to run your own running and races that you want to do, and you just did 100 miler in Florida again. I did 100 mile in Florida.
I know. I like a flat road. A flat road.
How do you balance that then? Getting the sort of, you've got to be class ready and race ready and all that.
It is quite difficult. I won't lie, and for the first 12 months of doing the job, because it is actually quite it's huge fun, but it is actually, you need to be the energy in the room, so it's quite it was quite tiring at first, just to be in a complete different frame of mind with my running. It wasn't about me, and sometimes you switch off when you're running. I had to be on the ball. There's lots of different things to think about in that studio. You've got like 9 cameras and your class plan, and then the music, and you've got to hit everything just right, and it's live TV to the second. So there's lots of different things going on there. So it was quite, I gave myself 12 months to settle in to the job and not think about racing at all, and just see how that panned out, and then that settled down, and then I've just gone into full racing mode. And it's a real time management thing. I went through when I first started running, I worked full time, and I was like a mum of one. And it was just like getting up in the morning and getting your run in, and then going to work, and And then I stopped working 9 to 5 and started doing the sort of run influencer thing for a little while.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, honestly, what was I? It was great. I was like, I'd be like out the door at 10, working at my own pace, shall we say. And I did that for and it was lovely. I didn't realise how charmed my life was.
Right,
And now it's quite full on. It's a full-time job, and it really is full-time. And the hours are, sometimes I have to be in the studio for 7 a.m, live at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's a juggle. It's very much time management. I'll plan my week the week before. But the good thing is that I run for a living, so I can combine some of those runs as my own personal training runs as well. So
yeah, that's great. That is good. What about staying injury free? Because obviously that must be a big thing as well. What do you do to sort of ensure that?
Do you know what, Rick? Honestly, as I get older, it is. I'm much more mindful of it. I think when I was younger, I just used to. I'd be like, I'd literally do like a 10K race on a Wednesday night, and then do like, I don't know, a half marathon on a Sunday. I raced a lot, and I raced really hard, and I sort of, back in the day when I could just turn up and not really do any tempo sessions and just bosh out the times, completely wonderful days, heady days. I'm not like that anymore, and I've just, it is hard. I do a lot of yoga now. I love the yoga. I love the yoga, and I swear that when I consistently do yoga, I stay pretty injury free.
Yeah,
that's really good. And then I'm on it with the physio and sports massages. So I look after myself, and nice hot bubble bath now and again.
Do you think the treadmill helps in that sense? Do you think it potentially is a little less impact, easier on the joints, maybe? I
think so. Yeah, I mean, I think everything in balance, but it's definitely, I find it a smooth run, an easy ride, and then you're completely in control, aren't you?
Definitely.
That's true.
Yeah.
What else have we have?
I've got lots of questions here. Sorry. What about other plans for 2023? Last snap.
Let's do that one.
Let's do it.
Oh God.
2023. Big targets, big plans.
Yeah, I think if you just scroll back to our last podcast, my answers are probably the same.
Same races.
Yeah. Haven't done them yet. So I ended last year having. Do you know what happened last year? So at lockdown, I was just pottering around really in my running. It was lovely.
Right.
It was really, really lovely.
Yeah.
Didn't go to track, didn't do anything, just enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I did loads of miles actually because that was all we could do.
Yeah.
All we could do. And then last year, I entered a 50K. I thought, let's just see where I am. And I went out for a 17-mile run, and honestly, I nearly died. It was just like, I was like, oh my God, I've lost all of my endurance. So from that moment on, I started to build my endurance and finished the year on a 100-mile race.
Yeah.
And with a full view of that being a qualifier. For an application process for Badwater 135. So I don't even know. It's a very difficult race to get in. It's a very.
You've crewed for people, haven't you?
So the journey to get to that start line. Is huge. I'm gonna say I've been working towards it for about 8 years now.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic happened, so it kind of put mockers on my plans.
Yeah.
And then what happens is every time I get near to thinking about it, I remember what it looks like firsthand, and I scare myself out of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's pretty much what happens. And I'm stuck in that cycle. And I think I just have to bite the bullet because I am not getting any younger.
Yeah. You still want to do it?
Yeah, I think I will. I think I'm gonna.
This is the year.
Wow.
I think this. Well, I don't know. You have to get.
Yeah, of course.
It's like it's this whole process. You have to be invited. But I think this might be the year. And so I have entered a race called Salt and Sea, which is one of their race series,
right?
Which is a really interesting format. You
Don't
might
know.
like this format. So it's about 81 miles, and it's a similar
classic distance.
The classic 81
That's
miler.
my best distance, actually.
The classic. Do you know what it is though? Because just when you're getting sick of the 100 miler, you're finished.
Yeah.
It's sort of a similar format to Badwater. That you start off really low in a desert, and then you run through the desert, and then you at the very very end, last few miles, you run thousands of foot up a mountain. So
just right at the end, though.
Right at the very end.
Good,
I think about the last 11 miles are about 5,500 foot.
Ooh, wow.
So it's quite spicy at the end.
Yeah.
And that's a very similar. It's like a sort of mini Badwater.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is it's a team race.
Okay.
So you have to run with somebody. And you're not allowed further than a few metres away from them for the entire.
Oh, you got to pick that person.
So there's dynamics, there's a lot of dynamics going on. Sean, bless him, my husband is low key sick of me and my races because he had to crew me so many times. The look on his face when I sort of entered a 100 miler for that one I just did in Florida was like, oh God, okay. he's very supportive. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Could we quickly talk about the kind of how you got into running? 'Cause I think people could look and say, "Oh, you're a Peloton instructor. You've done all these 100 milers. Like you must have been running your whole life." No. I think it's really inspiring how you got into running and what it's done for you.
I don't know if it's inspiring. It's quite a normal entry, I'm going to say. I was a bit how old was I? I think I was like 36, 37, just sitting there drinking a bottle of wine, watching Holby City. You know, it was like I was a single mum. I was just really not, I was just really sort of just coasting a little bit.
Yeah.
Not even coasting, that makes it sound nice. I was just sort of in a bit of a slump.
Okay.
So my younger brother entered me into, he wanted to do a marathon, just one tick off bucket list thing.
Yeah.
Entered me with him into a local half marathon. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I should get a bit fitter and smoke a bit less. And so I wanted to be a better role model for my daughter.
Yeah.
And so I did this half marathon, and honestly, I didn't know. I was running up and down the road.
I think I've seen pictures.
To Tesco's, yeah. Oh, have you seen the pictures?
I think you
hilarious.
put them up and there was just
hilarious.
like, you and your road shoes on.
Yeah, I was wearing like just gym shoes.
Right.
And it was a trail half. I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, what do you mean? And then we sort of ran through a field over a stile, and I was like, are you joking? Like, I'd been running up and down the road to Tesco's and back, to the big Tesco's, come back. And it was just proper hardcore trail on the North Downs. It was, and honestly, I died, and then I came back to life, and then it was the best thing I ever did. Like all in the 2.5 hours or whatever it took me.
Amazing.
And then that was sort of it, really. I sort of, it made me feel really good about myself in a way which I hadn't ever experienced, and it makes me sort of proud of something which I'd worked towards and achieved, and then. That's how it starts, isn't it, Rick? That's how it starts.
That's how it gets you, doesn't it?
Next thing you know, you're in a desert.
Climbing up a 5,000 foot mountain.
But that's what you're tapping into now when you've got people joining your class who for the first time ever. You're sitting there going, this is me. Like I
can remember my very first run, trying to run. It was in Guildford, Stoke Park, I believe, and there's these sort of football fields. I tried to run around 2 football pitches. I don't even know if they weren't full size. I think they were just like, I couldn't do it. I can remember thinking, I'm just going to get to that corner and then to that corner and then I'll do it. And I can remember not being able to do it.
Yeah.
Presumably because I ran really fast. I did that thing like, when you're like 7, you run off really fast and you have to stop.
Yeah.
So I did have to build from absolutely nothing. So in the job I'm doing now, I completely understand it, and I can completely empathise with people, and it is the hardest thing I think I have done in running has been to be consistent at the very start. Because it's so easy to run, think that's too hard, and then stop and then have another go. It's that bit at the beginning, just keep coming back and just maybe running for like 2 minutes longer.
Yeah.
Totally. Having a shorter walk break and running a bit more.
Yeah, because you get these little breakthrough moments, don't you, where you're like, oh, actually, suddenly this feels easier, or I'm not worried about this aspect of my running, or I can run 5 miles and not think about it too much.
And then you know what happens, because it's running, is you just have a terrible day one day for no reason at all.
Yes.
And you don't know why.
And you hate it.
Then you're like,
I quit.
Running sucks.
This is rubbish.
And then you get
it's
back
fine again.
Then you have a good day. It's just,
exactly.
but that in all of my running journey, that has never changed, actually. That has never changed. My last 100 miler, I actually found I was as fit as I could be, as prepared as I could be. It's a course I've done, and I was slower. And there was a point in the race where I realised this, and I was just like, oh, God. And then, I found it was really difficult slog to the end from that. And then, 24 hours later, when you've had some food.
Feel great.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I think you need to I don't think I know anyone who perhaps documents or just does food as well as you post race.
Oh yeah,
it was great.
It was beautiful. I was in Florida.
Yeah, you've got the key lime pies were coming out.
Oh yeah, nachos. Honestly, genuinely, we went to one restaurant and there was nothing on that menu which didn't have cheese on it. Nothing.
You tried it all?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It was very good. I think we'd be amiss not to ask how the dogs are.
Oh, my dogs, my lovely dogs. I've got 3 dogs. Lovely, thank you. One of them, I won't spend the entire podcast talking about dogs, but one of them, he's a Romanian rescue.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And
Right.
the only reason we got him was my husband, like other women find their husbands looking at like other women on the internet. I find my husband looking at stray dogs. I'm like, you looking at dogs again? No. And he found this random stray dog in Romania, and this was week 1 lockdown. Like literally, they just closed the borders.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, can we have this dog? And I said yes, thinking it's not going to happen, is it?
No way, you can't get that through
them. It's in Romania.
Yeah.
And then they interviewed us on Wednesday. And then by Friday, it was in our house.
Oh, wow.
Because they had a special license. And bless him, he was very traumatised dog. He hadn't been in a building. He didn't know what stairs were.
Yeah.
He was a really traumatised dog. And so he became my little lockdown project. And now he is my number one running buddy.
There you go.
Absolutely loves it. And to the point where if I'm going out to run on my tread, which is in my garage, I have to do a sort of a series of things which to fool him that I'm not actually going running, because he goes bananas about that. Could
you get him a little sort of treadmill on the side?
Do you know what? I've actually seen those on the internet.
Like dog treadmill?
Yeah.
Wow.
They exist.
Wow.
Maybe.
Well, that could be
Peloton.
That could be next, yeah. Susie, thanks so much for coming on the Run As Well podcast. Amazing to have you back on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and best of luck with everything that's happening at Peloton and your next 100 mile and Badwater, of course.
Maybe.
We'll see this. They'll have no choice.
We'll have to see. And you two, you are welcome anytime to Peloton Studios London. Open to the members.
We will come.
Come join for a class. It is super fun.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of this week's Run As Well podcast. A huge thanks to our guest, Susie Chan, and to you, of course, for watching. Do you say anything?
More of this fantastic content soon. How about that?
It's really good, yeah.
Good, thanks. No sarcasm whatsoever.
Cool, brilliant.
Thank you.